Okay, we're here for part 2 of this lesson, or part B of this lesson. So we've got the point 47, P is 47 and Q is 6, -2, and we're going to find the slope of a segment parallel to PQ and perpendicular. So the first thing we have to do is figure out the slope of both of them. So I'm going to call this x1, y1, and this is x2, y2. So my slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, because the first thing I have to do is find the slope of the given segment. So this is going to be -2 minus 7 over 6 minus 4. So that's -9 over 2. Okay, can't reduce that or anything. So for part A, my parallel segment has slope equal to -9 over 2 because it's the same, right? And then for part B, my perpendicular segment has slope equal to the negative reciprocal of this. So I flip it, 2 over 9, and I change the sign. It was negative, it's now positive. Ta-da, that's it, we're done. Okay, now this one. Triangle LMN has coordinates, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to draw a sketch because I want to make sure that this makes sense in my brain. So here's my coordinates, my Cartesian plane. So L is at -4, 2, so that's sort of there. So there's my L. And M is at -2, which is going to be half of that, and it's going to be up higher, so it's up here. So that's M. And N is at 1, 0, so that's about there. And yeah, I can see from the drawing that this is the one that looks most like the right angle, okay? But I have to prove it. You can't just say it looks right angled. That's never, ever okay. We have to use the slopes. So what we want to do is we want to find the slope of LM, and that's going to be y2 minus y1. Yeah, I should write it out. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to call this one my 2 and this is my 1. So that's going to be 7 minus 2 over -2 minus -4. Remembering that this negative sign belongs to the equation and this one belongs to the point. And then if I want to change those both to plus, because minus and negative is the same as adding, right? So I get 7 minus 2 is 5, minus 2 plus 4 is 2, so there's my slope for LM. And I need to do my slope of LN. So again, that's going to be y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now if you wanted to label this as yn minus yl, you're more than encouraged to do that, but I'm too lazy, so I'm not going to do it. And I'm confident that I can get these correct. Whether or not that's justified remains to be seen. All right, but the y's are going to be 0 minus 2, and the x's are going to be 1 minus -4. So I get -2 over, that's -1 plus 4 is 5. Okay, oops, so I can see looking at it that I do have negative reciprocals, but I have to justify it, okay? So I could say, since the slope of LM times the slope of LN equals -1, LN is I would do that LM. It doesn't really matter, but oops, it equals -1. LM is perpendicular to LN, and that's fine. This meets my criteria. It tells me what I'm basing my decision on and what my conclusion is, okay? You don't have to use words if you want to use symbols. That's absolutely fine. Okay, now some thinking. Two lines have slopes of -3 over 4 and k over 5 respectively. Figure out what k needs to be if the lines are parallel. Well, if parallel, then my slopes are equal. So -3 over 4 equals k over 5. So k equals, cross multiply and divide, that is your friend, negative 3 times 5 divided by 4, so k equals 3.75. Okay, now equals k. I should write it like that so I can circle my answer. Now, do you need to have fractions here? Yeah, you probably should have a fraction here, I suppose. But we don't put a fraction in a fraction, and this is really a ratio. In this case, I'm not going to be picky about whether you do a fraction or a decimal. You can do either. If you're ever in doubt, do a fraction. But in this one, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, if they are perpendicular, then the product equals -1. So then I have negative 3 over 4 times k over 5 equals -1. Okay, so if I multiply that, I get negative 3k over 20 equals -1. Multiply this side by 20. Multiply this side by 20. I get negative 3k equals -20. Divide that by -3, divide that by -3, and I get k equals 20 over 3. And that one I would leave as a fraction because otherwise I'm rounding it. So you don't want to round anything. So leave that one as a fraction. Okay, there you go. Have a good night. Bye.